Hey guys, and welcome back to Runway from the Rav, a Project Runway podcast. My name is Riley.
And I'm Maggie.
And today we'll be discussing Season 16, Episode 14, Finale Part 2. It's New York Fashion Week, baby! We're going! So our top 4 designers, just to remind you all, is Margarita, Brandon, Kentaro, and Ayana, who've all been throughout most of the season. Most of them have been pretty strong throughout. A couple strong, practically whole season long, mostly Brandon, but also Kentaro and Ayana have been pretty strong. And Margarita's had her moments with the judges where they loved it. She hasn't had as many moments with these judges where we loved it. But, so there are a couple things we'll get to before we get to the final Fashion Week runway. But the first is that, we get right into it. They're in the workroom. They have, basically a day and a half if they want to make any changes or anything like that. So Ayana, Kentaro, and Margarita are making tweaks. You know, Margarita's adding a couple elements. Kentaro's basically making an entire new look because the judges didn't like his one white and black look from last week. Ayana is doing some finishing, and then at Zach Posen's recommendation, she's making some new hijab designs to kind of change the head covering and bring that to another level. And meanwhile, they're all doing all this stuff, and Brandon's sleeping on the couch.
Yeah.
Which, he's not the first designer to do it. He's not the first designer, that I didn't like who did it, but it's just really? Fashion Week's tomorrow, and you don't have a single thing you could be doing. You don't have a single hem that needs a little help or anything. And he's like, no, I just have to wait for model fitting. And I'm like, I guess if you came fully prepared, and he was so self-confident in his looks that I guess you're done. I think Rick slept last season, but he was working so hard the day before. So then it's okay, he got done 2 hours early in traditional Rick style, and then he slept. But it was I don't know, it had a slightly different feel than Brandon at the beginning of the day being well, I see you guys later, I'm gonna go take a power nap. That lasted hours. Then to bring, everyone's moods straight down, Margarita gets a phone call from her parents about the hurricane, and obviously Margarita was able to follow that somewhat. Usually the designers don't get to watch the news or anything with the outside world, but obviously this is some different circumstances since her family is there. So her parents were yeah, we're without power, and Margarita was yeah, normally you could be without power for months, which here in America is what? In the mainland, but obviously Puerto Rico and some of those island nations are it's harder to get the infrastructure there. So her parents were without power, but the storm hadn't hit quite yet, full on, but they were we hope we can get a flight out. But I have a really great quote from Margarita's mom about if they couldn't get the flight out, but they're right now flights are being delayed but not canceled. So obviously then Margarita has to go back and try to sew feathers onto her looks, and she's my entire life has been leading to this moment, but my mind and my heart are thinking about that. And I can't imagine how hard that would be. And I'm sure living in Puerto Rico her whole life, this isn't your first hurricane rodeo, but this was a really nasty one.
Yeah.
Aimed right at San Juan. Right where she lives. So I'm sure that was hard. And then that she can't, pull up her phone and watch it move or watch the news. They're so isolated. So I am sure that was extremely hard. And she did a great job of staying on her feet. She kept working, obviously a few tears here and there, but she wasn't completely broken down. So that shows strength of character for sure. Then Tim comes in and did some visits because he takes notes of what the judges say for their little preview collection. So he's basically goes person to person and is what did you take away from the judges? What did you hear? Because sometimes they hear things that the judges did not intend. They're oh, we didn't like this. And they're oh, God, they hated everything. So he just likes to be no, it's okay. And then his big theme this season has been we can't control their taste and we can't control what they'll say. All you can do is put out what you're proud of, which is true for anything you make. You can't control how other people will react to whatever it is you created. You can only make it the best you can and try to communicate it well. So that's helpful, especially when they're so stuck in their heads of poor Kentaro was I already feel I lost. He said that multiple times throughout the episode where he's I already feel I'm at the bottom, so I'm just going to make what I want and what I love, which we've talked about a couple times this season where it's if you're truly in the down and out, then just make something you're super proud of and go out in blazing colors. Ayana also felt a little off kilter, and then Margarita was well, they just think it's all Miami, which we talked about last week, is a little and that it's so resort wear that she's so I'm just gonna make it exactly what I want it to be. And Tim really encouraged her and Kentaro to just make it how you want it. So, you get a backer tee. Kentaro made like a new look for the one they absolutely hated, and Margarita added some different kind of little bits and bobs, but they were basically like, this is my collection, and you've only seen 2 little parts of it, so. And then we had the model fitting. Again, you got 10 girls to try to put into clothes, and a couple people were switching stuff out. But otherwise, and then they take like little Polaroid pictures, and then that's how they organize their collection. I know Kentaro was still thinking about the order of his, and Margarita even helped him out a little bit, but having those little Polaroids is probably really helpful then to be like, okay, in my mind or in my drawings, I put it in this order. But now seeing it on the model who will be walking it on the runway, maybe it looks better this way because they're different sizes or a different race, or because they wear it with a different attitude. So that was kind of cool. And then right at the end there, Tim had a gather round, our first gather round of the season. And Tim was like, I am so proud of all of you. And then we had our first group hug.
Yep.
Of the season as well. So I know Tim Gunn has had interviews in the last few seasons where he's like, yeah, I don't think the show's going in the same direction it used to be. I think there's things that have taken away credibility. I know he said some things about past designers, but it's nice to see that at the end of the day, he still supports the designers as people. And he knows that right now, 12 hours before New York Fashion Week, they're vulnerable. And they need a mentor or someone they respect to be like, I'm so proud of you. No matter what happens tomorrow, you all did a great job. And it's like, that's true for, little league kids, when they lose the big game. But it's also important for adults, chasing their dream. Ayana's like, I quit my job for this. Or Margarita's like, I never had, a serious relationship or kids because of this. So it's just, sacrifice.
Yeah.
And then we got to see a little backstage action of getting the New York Fashion Week ready and some other things like that. So with that, I think we can get on to the runway, because that's what we're here for. I just wanted to give a little bit of that. And then I will say the prize winning package, because we have not yet. The winning designer will get to create a capsule collection with JCPenney's, which will be available immediately after the show airs. So it's already up online. I don't know if it's in stores quite yet, but it is on jcpenney.com. They will get $40,000 worth of brother sewing equipment. They will get makeup and hair services for 1 year from Avon, which, what a prize. They'll get a new Lexus NX vehicle. They'll get a lifetime supply of Friction pens, the official pen of Project Runway.
Wow.
But, the designers seem to use them this season. And they do erase, and they do come in many colors. So I guess if you're going to get a lifetime of supply of something, at least pens don't go bad, and they're a good pen. I don't know that they're everybody's cup of tea for designing. I know a lot of people like pencils or markers and paint, but at least you can give a pen to anybody, or you can donate your year's worth of pens to a school or something. So at least it's better than some other random thing. But a lifetime supply, which does that mean, 2 pens a year? 100 pens a year? A pen a month?
I don't know.
Or is it just 20 pens up front and then bye? I've got so many questions about.
Imagine if it was a lifetime supply of Dixie cups.
Well, Brandon might be able to work something out there since his design won. They are available on Amazon and online, but I have looked in a couple stores because I feel weird buying Dixie cups online and having them shipped to me for $3 paper cups. That just seems like such a waste of fuel and environmental impact for some cups. Because I would love to be sipping out of them right now for our podcast folks, but I haven't found them in brick and mortar stores. So I guess it's just a limited, in the design they do have, looks a lot like Claire's winning look. That was not actually a winning look. It's black and white stripes. And it looks a lot like her zigzag black and white pattern. But it's not, because they were drinking out of those cups before she even designed it. So, and then they also get a all expense paid trip to Japan near the Japanese fashion district. And then also supplied by the Friction Pen folks. They'll get $100,000 to start their line. And the winning designer and model, which I'm guessing means their signature model, will get a spread in Marie Claire. So it's quite a big prize package. I know that you have to sign a contract if you choose to take the winnings where Project Runway gets up to or maybe potentially over 10% of your earnings for life, which seems insane.
Yeah.
Especially for some of the designers who have won, who have gone on to have very lucrative careers, like Christian Siriano or a few others have done quite well for themselves. It's just like, oh, 10% for life? That's such a intense agreement to sign at the very beginning of your career. So I'm not sure how many people actually take it. I know I read somewhere that Jay from season 1, that winner, he did not. So the very first winner was like, no.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if those stipulations have changed since then, but that's just what I've read, and I was just like, oh, so I wonder how many of these people actually take the prizes.
Yeah.
Or is that just for the $100,000, but you still get like the brother stuff and the pens? Like, do I get the pens? Heidi, do I get the pens? It depends.
Oh.
Whoa! All right, let's get to the runway. So our guest judge this week was Jessica Alba, and according to Twitter, she's pregnant. So it was Jessica Alba +1.
Yep.
Jessica Alba is actress, pretty popular. She has founded a company called Honest, which creates like makeup and like other housewares, like baby items and stuff. They've had some lawsuits about how it's not actually organic and things like that. But she's never done clothes that I know of. Maybe like a capsule, but not her own clothing line. So that's just par for the course this year. Another random actress, but I do like Jessica Alba. She had more insightful things to say than a lot of young actresses have this season.
Mm-hmm.
And then new this year for New York Fashion Week, it was a U runway. So it was kind of like a big...
Oh, yeah.
Normally, it's just like a mile long, and then you turn around and go back the other way. But this one was like U-shaped.
Yeah.
So, but it like kind of squared off. So they walked to the end, did their little strike a pose for the camera, walked like a little way, and then turned again, and then went back out. So it made a more of an impact, but it meant that your wow moment had to happen where like half the people couldn't see it.
Yeah.
And there is one wow moment we'll get to. So that was interesting. New York Fashion Week themselves changed it up. So first up, we had Margarita, and she comes out and says that her collection is based off the idea of fish out of water, that she's a little Puerto Rican girl trying to make it big in the fashion industry here in America. So her color palette, I'll just say, is all over the place. It is vibrant tropical colors inspired by a 1980s couch her parents had when she was growing up. So I'm talking yellows, light blues, brighter blues, navies, reds, oranges, whites. So it's just, there's beading, there's feathers. I'm talking stripes. I'm talking there's some floof. There's some of this. There's a trench coat. And most of the model, I would say, I guess half of the models are wearing sunglasses and half are not.
Mm-hmm.
The models that have kind of fun natural hair, it's left natural. The models who don't have that are wearing super slicked back like ponytails and buns.
Mm-hmm.
So first out, I'm just going to go through their designs really quickly. So I'm not going to go into a ton of detail, but I will hit all 10. So first up, she put down this little blue kind of t-shirt dress with a gigantic beaded fish on it. The second look is a yellow off-the-shoulder kind of maxi dress with a couple fish on it. And she said she printed the fish onto the fabric and then beaded it as like a template, which I don't think anyone's done.
No, I mean, I noticed the beading last episode, but I did not realize that was all hand beading.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that definitely stepped up my opinion of the collection. I was like, oh!
Yeah, that's a lot of handwork. I assumed it was glitter, but
Yeah.
I think it was hand beading, and then that just catches the light. So her third look is a little strapless, asymmetrical, like, I think it's a dress, but it could be a skirt and a little top, a little crop top. Striped bottom, asymmetrical kind of ruffled hem with a little red and yellow. I think it is a little crop top. Then her fourth look is, I believe it's a jumpsuit of stripes with a really deep V and a belt. The fifth look was Jasmine, which I think is her like signature model. She was in a swimsuit kind of bodysuit that we saw last episode with a little striped sarong. At the end of the runway, like the first leg of it, she had a bit of a wow moment where she took off the sarong with this nice little flare and did like this hip jut that is like the Jasmine signature. And then she kept walking. And this was a wow moment, one, because the reveal of the sarong is always cool. But then two, Jasmine is a plus size model. And that's not very common to show them at a bigger fashion week in a swimsuit.
Mm-hmm.
You can see her legs. Are there imperfections? Yeah. Is she bigger than most of the other models? Yeah, but she rocked it and she looked really nice. So it was a wow moment in terms of like the sarong reveal, but also a wow moment. I don't think it's 100% unique in fashion, but it sure is for Project Runway. And it was a really great moment, I think, for plus size folks out there all over the world. Her sixth look is like these little leggings with like feather ruffle at the bottom. They got that wackadoo pattern she invented, and then the top is like this little crossbody wrap red thing with, I don't know, little like trails behind it, like a little cape. Then the, oh god, I'm bad at counting. Seventh look is this little, it's that bomber jacket we saw last time, the patterned bomber jacket, and it's over top of like a reddish orange kind of ruched little dress that's got like a tie at the bottom. The eighth look is, I think it's black, but it might be navy blue. It's this real kind of floofy skirt with a real tight top of the pattern and a spaghetti strap with like the off the shoulder like arm detail. The ninth look we saw last time as well. It's those fabulous bell bottoms of various patterns, huge bell bottoms, and the navy top with like the little cross and tie. And then the 10th look is on Janine, who's a model we've seen frequently as well. I don't recognize any of the rest of her models really. And she is wearing these little shorts, or it could be a romper with a little orange kind of flowy shirt. And then over top of all of that is this trench coat with huge lapels, the sleeves kind of rucked up to the elbow, and it's all stripes, and then it's lined in that orange. Mm-hmm. So just as a snapshot, what did we think of Margarita's collection?
I liked it overall. Like, I mean, it wasn't my favorite of the four, but I thought this one was the most fun. Obviously, the color palette was the most vibrant of all four. Like, it was just fun to watch, I thought. I don't know. My favorite look, I think, was the last one. And I don't know why, because it's kind of strange. But I just really liked how that one locked. What were your, like, big impressions?
Kind of like last episode where these glitter bell-bottom pants walk out at me for the second season in a row, and I'm like, why do I like this? Why am I responding in a way that's positive? Mm-hmm. And I should hate this collection. I'm not really big on bold color. I don't get the fish thing. I'm not huge on stripes. But as a unit, it's just, like you said, it's fun. And it doesn't feel, obviously it feels tropical to me. It literally has tropical fish plastered on it. But it doesn't feel Miami to me. This feels like a nice elevated, I mean, I couldn't see too many people wearing these exact garments on like a cruise ship or something. But especially the fifth look with Jasmine, that little swimsuit and sarong, I could see people wearing that for sure. I think the fish printed items, if it was like a t-shirt, like a cool kind of shaped t-shirt instead of a dress, might be more workable. And then I think my favorite look is the 10th look as well. It's like disco futuristic Matrix. Like, she's wearing sunglasses, her legs look amazing in these little shorts, and then the trench coat is the perfect length, just like an inch off the floor. The vertical stripes make it look really cool. That nice pop of color on the inside lining, it just looks really nice. And then the model's just wearing it with this like cool factor. And after seeing all these kind of the funky dresses and the odd shapes, and it is a lot all over the place, it's not my favorite collection either. And there are moments here, I'll use the Nina Garcia moments, that I'm not a fan of, but that last one was very strong. Mm-hmm. They all got critiques, so I'm not going to say top or bottom. So next up, we had Brandon, and he comes out and says that his collection is called Layers of Love. And that's about it. He didn't have a lot to say. Margarita said a little more, but he was like, hope you enjoy it. And we got to see some more of that shy Brandon we haven't seen since like episode 3. Mm-hmm. And his look, if you saw last week, well, you didn't miss anything if you didn't see this week. So, first look we saw last week, it's got every single one of these has the flamingo print. Most of them are like he kind of desaturated or faded. But so it's that same smock dress with like the peachy leather little top with a little backpack on. And before I get into all of them, the thing that kind of tied them all together was natural hair and makeup. And then several of the girls near the end had like really tight little braid pigtails,
Mm-hmm.
which he frequently wears himself.
Yeah.
So that was the first look we saw last week. The second look is a crop top. But surprisingly, it's one of only 2 crop tops. So, hey! What do you know? But it is a crop top. It's got his, it's that flamingo print long sleeve crop top with his oversized loops along the hem. And then it's like a little dress with a couple layers and some straps also in the flamingo. The third look is very straight jackety. It's a little kind of jump smock dress with some straps and some shoulder detail of those layers. And again, down one side, it has those oversized loops. The fourth look then has, I think it's also a leather. It's like a buttery kind of cream, yellowy. I believe it's leather. Crop top, and then underneath that is a asymmetrical skirt made out of the flamingos with got big loops at the bottom. Straps, of course. The fifth look is like a t-shirt dress, but it's long. It's got pockets. All of his pieces are like, there's a top layer and then there's a bottom layer that sticks out, and those round big loops that are kind of his signature is like, that's where your eye should go to see like the second layer. And it's all that flamingo fabric. And then the sixth look is again kind of straight jackety. This one is very desaturated. It's got a bunch of straps. It's a real short little dress with long sleeves. Look 7, I can't quite tell. My picture of it is kind of blurred out, but it's like a white kind of oversized top with a multiple layered asymmetrical skirt and his like signature weird like hip flap.
Mm-hmm.
Look 8 is our beloved Lyris, who he really did wrong. Oh my god. She's wearing the same like paper bag pants from last week with the big loop detail down one leg and this weird wackadoo. Wackadoo is like my word of the season. Thank you, Zach Posen. Right across her midsection that just sticks out for like 3 inches up into nowhere, like you cinched a bag closed. And then instead of the crop top from last week, she's wearing this like skin tight little yellow like tank top.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
there's nothing to it. Look 9 has a big slice of that kind of creamy orangey leather cut with some weird kind of asymmetrical angles and stuff, and it goes to about her waist, and then underneath that is more of that flamingo fabric. And then the 10th look is like these flamingo fabric shorts, almost like culottes, that are then bunched at the knee, kind of like the little drawstring design with straps hanging off, and then this asymmetrical kind of tunic that's sleeveless. So what did you think of Brandon's?
I think his was my least favorite of the 4. It just felt like very blah, like it all just blurred together for me. And like it's probably because I don't know, it was just like a lot of repetition. He used that flamingo fabric every single look, and then like each piece was different but had like repeated elements. Like, whether it had, like, those, like, loops, or it had, you know, the straps, or whatever, like, it was all more or less the same, and I didn't feel like there was a single look that was, like, the wow moment look. Like, they were all just even. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It just kind of fell flat for me. And maybe, like, I was probably influenced, too, by just being kind of like over him, like being over the judge's constant obsession with him throughout the season.
Mm-hmm.
And then how in this episode you see him sleeping, and so I'm sure there's part of me that was like, I want you to like feel like you have it in the bag and then be like totally blown away by other designers. I don't know. Yeah, I want that.
Petty Maggie's back!
Yeah!
Ladies and gentlemen!
Oh, she never left.
Hashtag, I'm here for it.
What are your thoughts?
I feel the same. It's such a muted palette, and then with just that one fabric. And the fabric he mentioned is like a home upholstery, that it's meant for like curtains or like outdoor furniture. And it's like, yeah, obviously. I kind of was expecting like the 10th look would literally be bright flamingo pink. It wouldn't have that fabric and it would just be like someone in like a flamingo outfit hopping down on like one leg. But it was like all of these are very Brandon, but with the muted kind of pastel almost idea of the designs. And then I think only 2 of them are pants. So it's just a bunch of like asymmetrical skirts and dresses. What are they doing? Like, they just look like they all broke out of the insane asylum, ripped down the curtains, but the only fashion they know is straight jackets, and that's what they made. And then a couple of them took like placemats or like ripped open a leather chair from the entryway and threw it on top of their dress.
Oh my God, this is perfect.
3 of them are wearing like leather ponchos, and it's just like, I think if he had made more looks with that leather idea in different colors, because those are the most successful looks, especially the first one. Mm-hmm. That first one's really the only look in these that I like or even see something to it. Because the rest, because they're so matchy with the fabric, it's hard to see the details. So the only details I do see are the big loops, which then look, when they're on every look too, okay, they're no longer special. Or the straps. What are they for?
Yeah.
They're just going to get caught in the subway door or get like a dog to start chewing on them when you're waiting to crosswalk. Like,
yeah.
I think if he had used bolder colors, like this whole season he's used mostly neutrals, but when I felt he was most successful was when he made things like with the like safety, like the road safety challenge, and he played with those bright yellows and stuff. Bold color in his funky patterns works and looks kind of cool and like graphic. And then when he made one that was in more like a hunter green, I liked it better. So I think if he had played with his color palette more, and not like cohesion does not mean 10 looks in the same fabric with similar silhouettes just cut at a different angle. So to me it was what I've seen all season from Brandon, but in one color palette, which then just made it even more boring than it would have been already. And I think that really shot him in the foot.
Yeah, and like the judges called him out on that, and they said, like, he tried to defend it, saying like, well, my favorite designers do this, but then he also was like, but they have collections of 30, and so they might do like 10 looks of 3 different kind of like palette or fabric things, and it's like, Brandon, hello then.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
And his final look didn't look like the final look. It was like some culottes and like a tunic shirt. It's like,
yeah.
So a lot of people save like their big statement piece, whether it's a ball gown or like just something really out there or like a jumpsuit or something that like was pushing it at the time. This is just another one of the looks. Like he would have been better saving one of the leather topped looks for last, or to make an entire dress, the final dress out of that leather, or just something other than it just all looks the same.
Yeah.
You could mix any of these in any order and the collection would have read the exact same coming down the runway, which is not how collections should work, especially when you only have 10 looks to tell your story. This is one word of a story, 10 pages in a row.
Yep.
Next. Next up we had Kentaro, and he came out and he was really nervous because he's like, English is not my first language. And he's like, and I really don't want to mess up what I'm saying. So he's practicing holding a lint roller. Like a sticky lint roll, like a microphone in front of his models, and he was like trying to say what he wanted and messing up. So I can feel for you there. That would be a lot of pressure. But when he came out, he said that his looks were his collection was inspired by the nature of Japan, which is like the story he chose last week in front of the judges, because you can't tell everybody it's dead cat inspired music. Like that's not what you tell everyone. No. He inadvertently did because he said it on the show. But so he said it was inspired by the nature of Japan and his culture. And then he did mention that he composed the music. He just didn't say what it was inspired by, which is a dead cat burial mound.
Yeah.
Which was probably for the best.
Yeah.
And then the thing that kind of united his collection were sleek updos. Every single model except for 2 have sleeked updos, and the 2 that have their hair down, it's also slick and like straight. And I think one of his models may have also just had really short hair. And then his composed music, because it was the same music as they played for us a couple episodes ago, or I'm sorry, last episode, and it's kind of discordant and kind of hits some different notes. It was the quietest runway I've ever seen.
It was kind of creepy.
It was silent. As Heidi later said, you could hear a mouse fart. Like, Nita mentioned, like, you either have a moment like Margaritas where Jasmine whipped off the sarong and everybody's like clapping and like cheering. They're like, that's how you know it's a good show, or if it's completely silent because people are taking it in. And like, how I saw it is like when you go to an art gallery, people are like hooping and hollering like, whoa, look at that painting. They're quietly taking it in. Maybe a little conversation or something, but like most art galleries are pretty quiet, or museums as well, because you're just taking it in. And so that was kind of nice that these people, because the music was important as well, they didn't talk over it. Like most people were pretty silent. So so that was cool. So his first look is a white dress, slightly oversized, and it has this black tulle down to the skirt, and it looks like she's wearing little black leggings underneath, and then the tulle at the waist kind of comes up in like this like I don't want to say flower shaped, but it just comes up in like this like wash of tulle like over her chest. It's really cool. I think it's the one we spied.
Yeah,
in the background.
I was gonna ask you, was this the same one, or was this the one from last week? Yeah.
Well, this is not what he showed last week. He completely remade that look. We'll get to that one. That's like his third look.
Oh, that was the
so this is a
one.
new one that he already had made.
Okay, then I think it is.
What we saw last week in the background. Then the second look is this like white, baggy, really long sleeved kind of jumper. And then white pants with that get really tight around the knee and just below the knee. And then it looks like he hand painted them black to kind of show that transition as well up the little pants. The third look, this is the one that he made in like a day and a half, and it's a black off the shoulder dress in the bottom. It might have pockets. The bottom is like this white kind of almost like a tennis skirt without the pleating. Cuts just above the knee, and then he's got some like black straps, or not straps, like pieces of fabric that are just like kind of sewn on to show that black kind of leaking, but it's a little haphazard. The fourth look is this like deconstructed kind of t-shirt where it's black lines that he's like cut out the middle parts, and then over her bust is like a big black rectangle, and then that's paired with some more white pants with that black kind of detail around the knee, and then it's got this nude colored like belt. The fifth look, okay, sorry guys, I zoomed out, is this nude color, kind of like blushy colored dress. The top is leather, tiny spaghetti straps, a big belt. It's kind of an umpire waist, and then there's like a nude colored pleated skirt below, and then over top of that is more of that black tulle, almost down to the floor, also pleated. The sixth look we saw last week, and this is the Dream and Cream. So it's kind of that nude blush color, and this is on Sunita, which I'm guessing is now his signature model, even though I think it's Misha.
Yeah.
Personally, but Misha was not in his show. And it's a spaghetti strap. It's got that kind of asymmetrical bottom, and it's of leather, and then the bottom of the dress is more pleated tulle layers. The seventh look, or like skin-colored, kind of shiny, skin-tight leggings.
Yeah.
To the ankle, and then over top of that is like this red, kind of puffy little dress with a super deep V. I'm talking almost to the navel, and then it's got kind of these puffy sleeves, and it's a real short dress. Like it's more like a tunic top, but that's a poor way to describe. The bottom is all like ruched inward.
Yeah.
Kind of like a flower petal. And then the eighth look is this mini dress. So it's like this black underdress that's got spaghetti straps, and it's got some kind of volume at the skirt. It hits like upper thigh.
Yeah, it's
and then,
really short.
Yeah, it's extremely short. This model's legs, very long. And then over top of that is red fabric doing kind of the same thing, asymmetrical across the top, and then it's also kind of ruched out and voluminous. And then the ninth look is this full dress of white, kind of like a maxi dress almost, spaghetti strap again, very flowy, a lot of movement goes to the floor, kind of had like a V shape at the back as it kind of floated. Looked pretty in movement. This picture doesn't quite do it justice. And then the 10th look is like this white, kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like a maxi dress with a V-neck, and then over top of it is, I'm not sure what this fabric is. It might be tulle as well, but it's like kind of crushed a bit, and then it's just this big like shell over her, but it's see-through, and then it's got sleeves, and it's, you can see he like had to sew some together in the middle, but it kind of covers her like a little, like, I don't know, like a glass shell over her as she walks, but it kind of moves with her. So I like a cage almost.
Yeah.
What did we think of Kentaro's?
I really liked it. It was super interesting and very artistic. And like, this was my favorite. I will say, like, I really, really liked that he composed his own music, but it was just crazy, like you said, how quiet it was, and it really did give, like, a very particular tone and mood to the show.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it felt, like, kind of eerie to me, but I guess, like, not necessarily in a bad way. It just felt, yeah, so different from the other shows.
It was much more somber,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't always bad, but yeah, it was a very different vibe for those, like, 3 minutes that they walked.
It was kind of weird, too, like, for the models to walk to, because it wasn't like it had, like, a certain, like, tempo, really, like, it was
all over the place.
I don't know, I wonder what that would have been like to walk that, but anyways, I think, I don't know, I had a couple, like, several looks that I liked. I really liked the first one. I thought it did look strange how there was nothing in the back, but I don't know, I just like the way that black tulle looked coming off the white like that. Like, I don't know, it's just
like a firework or something. I don't know how to explain it, but
there's a lot of that with his looks. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just cool. I really liked the red look, the first red look with, like, those really tight pants. And I don't know why, because I feel like normally I wouldn't like something like that, but I did. I don't know. I liked the white dress. I liked the effect on the last one of that, cage or whatever you want to call it. Like, and I don't remember seeing any of this, like, on his racks. It just looked so different.
I think they film it very carefully to not give it all away.
Well, they didn't give anything away for me, because I was, like, completely surprised at how everything looked on actual bodies.
Well, and he had the unique fact that he made an entire new piece. Everybody else, we'd already seen 2 of their 10, but with Kentaro, we'd only seen 1 of the 10.
Yeah.
So
it was cool. I liked it. What were your thoughts?
He was also my favorite of the night. It feels more like art to me than just fashion. And obviously fashion is art, but this felt, most of the season, I think even last episode, they're like, it's just clothes. But I'm like, no, none of this is just clothes. The closest I could see would maybe be the 8th look, which is that little mini dress with the voluminous skirt. That's a little, like, I don't know, middle schooler homecoming to me. Yeah. But I don't dislike it. I like the detail at the top of showing the black peek through. I just wish it was slightly longer or had, like, something to bring it back down. But that first look is really cool. The second look is kind of hip. The third look I'm not a huge fan of. The nude look we saw last time, the 6th look is pretty good. The 7th look with the little red top and the leggings, it's not my favorite. I like the red top a lot. I almost wish that was like a floor-length dress and that was like your, wow, this red dress. Yeah. The white dress is beautiful. The black dress at the end, like the black covering, that's a little too weird for me, but it fits. Like, you obviously, not all of fashion is certainly not New York Fashion Week. Are you supposed to, like, oh, I'm going to wear that to Walmart or wear it to, like, no, you're not going to wear that to Applebee's for dinner, all right? But it's cool, and it makes you think a little bit, and it just kind of shows, like, he really has this cool way of playing with structure and volume. And normally you either can do one or the other, but the way he brings it together, it's like music. Like, it's so cool. And then with that kind of odd music as it's going from like black and white to nude, with like a really warm kind of peachy nude, all of a sudden to this bright red, and then back to just clean white. And I think he mentioned, like, originally that white was the end piece, and he's like, I just want it all wiped away. And when he said that, I thought of that as I was watching it. And I thought that was the last look, because, I'm not good at counting. And then this final look comes out where it's like this, like, cage, but it's see-through. I was just like, I don't know his 100% message here, but I like it. Yeah. it was very cohesive in the way I like things to be cohesive with a vibe. Like, if you're going to wear any of these, then you could probably wear all of them. Mm-hmm. Which I think is more important than 10 looks with the exact same color palette. like margaritas or the exact same fabric like Brandon. So I really like the idea of like this is just vibey. And you can just tell he's an artist and he thinks about things slightly differently because he's from a different culture. He's a musician. So it's just, instead of one word on each page, these are each a note in a sonata, which is kind of what Tim was saying. Like these are all like, you know, a couple chords in a sonata. So it was really nice.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it a lot. Last up, we had Ayana. She came out and said that her collection was Evolution, and it was inspired by her life. And all of her looks, except for 3, I believe, maybe 4. I think half of her looks had a head covering, a hijab, and then the other half did not. But they were all modest. At most, they showed as Jessica Alba put it, a sensual wrist or ankle. But they were all modest. And then the other thing I want to mention about Ayana is she was crying so hard. Like she's watching it there with Tim Gunn standing at the TV. It was pouring off her face. Mm-hmm. And she was like very shaken these last couple episodes, like since they came back. And like you can just see how deeply it affects her. Because throughout most of the season, she's I wouldn't say she's cool as a cucumber, but you didn't really get behind that shell too much. So it was just kind of intense of like, oh my god, this means so much to her. And it's cool to show, like, win or not, you showed at New York Fashion Week. Hello.
Yeah.
You know, and it was free for you, basically. So that was really cool. But you rarely see someone crying so hard on television that the tears are pouring off their face. So I was just like, and she had no shame. She just standing there like, oh my god, so happy. So her first look here, her pattern is kind of like, I don't even know. It's all that kind of pewter gray and like cream colored inspired. It's a very subdued kind of desaturated color palette. So this first look is kind of like a smock shirt, high necked. Obviously everything is full sleeved. So I'm not even going to bother saying that. Absolutely everything is high necked and full sleeved. Full pants on this one. With that pattern, it's got some like cream trimming, and then it looks like it's got like a little, I don't even know, like a shawl over top. And then she is wearing a head wrap of like a kind of camel colored, so it's kind of in contrast. The second look, I don't know how to describe this, but it's like silk, I guess, like purpley kind of shiny silk. Yeah. Kind of, it might be a hoodie. I can't quite tell from the front, and I don't remember if it was or not. But it's long, kind of goes over the edge of the pants. It's got like a tie at the top. That's why it makes me think maybe it was a hood, but maybe it's just like an open collar that she's tied up. The shirt goes over her like knuckles. It's like one of those like finger hole shirts. And then it's over top of pants that look identical from the previous look, except for instead of gray at the bottom, they're cream. The third look was, I don't know if this is leather. I'm not sure what the material is of the skirt, but it's kind of a high-waisted, long skirt made out of this, like, leathery, shiny material. And then the top is, like, this, like, brown and cream and really light pink and green floral top with kind of bell sleeves tucked into the skirt. Not the sleeves, the shirt's tucked into the skirt. The fourth look we saw last week is just on a different model. This time last week Misha was wearing it, and this time it's a different model. Also has a head wrapping on it that she's done some interesting tucking into, but it's that athleisure wear, so it's like it's like baggy pants with pockets kind of cut up the sides. It's got like this like little jacket with a V, and then underneath it's this like shiny gray material. The fifth look we also saw last week, and it's like this tunic top, kind of shiny with like this interesting, I don't know, like hemline that's like 3 inches of like other fabric. Mm-hmm. And then it's got those same like kind of tattered up pants. The sixth look is, I don't know how to describe it. It's that same floral pattern as before with like those weird long ruffles she likes to do over the chest area. And then it's got like a little gray mini skirt over top of more of those gray ripped pants. But these pants go literally all the way to the floor. I can't even see the model's feet. And then the seventh look is on Monique, and it is that same floral pattern in one of those little dress shapes she's made several times this season. More ruffles at the top. It cuts off just below the knee, and you can see there's some pants underneath there. They're not like leggings though. They're like more of that shiny gray, and they cut like 2 inches above the ankle. This one might show the most skin.
The most sensual.
Sensual ankles. Jessica Alba, sensual ankles. My new fragrance. Sensual ankles. I doubt any of that will pick up. Okay, the eighth look has another camel color hijab, but this one wraps really prettily in the front and frames her face and just a bit of her neck. And then she's wearing another dress. This is a slightly different fabric. It's a little more silvery. And it's belted in the middle, and then it has several layers of those ruffles. So it's like tiered ruffles all the way down. The ninth look is another dress, almost identical. Like, it almost looks the same to me. Maybe the eighth look was pants? To be honest, in this picture I can't tell, but they look almost identical except for one has a headscarf and one doesn't. Like, almost identical.
Those two looks, yeah.
Yeah. And then her 10th look is this really pale green ball gown, almost wedding gown. It's got some really pretty embroidery on the top that kind of look like little plants or like leaves. This is on Misha, which is apparently her signature model, although I think she's more Kintaro's model, but whatever. It's got some white tulle around the waist. It's kind of tucked in at the waist. And then kind of flows out. It's obviously over tulle because it's quite voluminous. And full sleeved again, and then she's wearing a matching same fabric headpiece that then has like a white tulle behind it, which is what gives me wedding dress vibes because white tulle just makes me think of like a veil.
Yeah.
But it's not over her face, it's behind her. But so what did we think of Ayana's looks?
I liked it, but I think honestly for me, I would put Ayana, I would like in my own personal ranking. I think she's below Margarita because I liked how bold and like fun Margarita's was to watch. But I don't know. My favorite piece of all might be, like, out of all four, might be in Ayana's. I really liked that 10th look. Like, when that came out, I mean, it's probably partially because it was on Misha, and, like, it looked stunning.
I went back, Misha has won the winning look, like, more than half the time.
Yeah,
there's something about her that makes it look good, but she's not a plus-size model, either.
No. It looked stunning. We got to see that dress, like, hanging a little bit, like, just briefly, and, like, I saw, like, the kind of floral details on it, and I'm just like, okay. But seeing it on Misha, holy crap, I was just like, wow, that is absolutely beautiful. But, I don't know, I guess my feelings are, some of the pieces that we hadn't seen before, I did find interesting. I like the first piece. I don't know. But I think overall, I'm not a huge fan of the ruffles, and I didn't really like the muted color palette she went with. It's like we talked about last week. This would have been so different if, like, she'd gone with bolder, earthier hues. Like,
right.
A strong, like, yellow, or a strong green, or even a blue or something, or just, I don't know, just anything other than the browns and then the, like, dull greens. I mean, I guess she's got some purple in there, but it's soft. I think it would have been more successful if the color palette had been different. But, I don't know. And I was kind of, like, iffy on the metallic fabrics. It did add, like, at least some texture and some variation in there, but I don't know. I couldn't quite get into it. What were your thoughts?
I was disappointed in this one. I felt a little like last season where Laurence had been making amazing things, and then her final collection was a little drab, and not in black. Like, it was just kind of muted mint greens and, like, weird pastel, and I was just like, where is this coming from? And it's the same thing with Ayana, where she's like, well, I was inspired by, like, upper New York State nature, and I'm just like, granted, today it's overcast, it's fall, you know, the leaves on the trees are mostly on the ground and brown, and the grass is losing its luster, but, like, there's still color out there. And it's just like, when the only bold pop of color you have on most of these looks is the camel color, that rich kind of brown tan color of your head piece, that's sad.
Yeah.
There's one look that with like a purple top, but the way it sticks to the model's body and shows all of the details underneath of the clothes and her skin, it's not flattering. It's not a flattering look to me. And then looks 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 are so close in appearance that I thought I fell asleep and woke back up in Brandon's show. They were so samey. I couldn't stand it. When the best part of your look is how you did the head scarf.
Yeah.
Where's the design there? Like, obviously, yeah, you had to design the headscarf, but it was kind of like Ashley's season, a couple seasons ago, her final collection. Most of her girls are wearing those like flower head pieces. And for some of them, like, while I don't like flower crowns and they were already played out even back, in like 2015 or whatever, it was like, when that's like the design highlight and the color highlight of your look, it's a failure. I liked her 10th look as well. I'm not head over heels for it, but I do like it. I like the headpiece again better than I like the garment. But I wish she had done more of that. Like, Ayanna had a lot of moments this season, especially since the Shopkins episode, where she just brought the drama and the impact. And so many of these just look like boring modest wear.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, the girls look sexy and they look empowered in looks maybe 1 through 4. And then all those middle looks, that drab, desaturated floral print is doing none of these girls any favors. And they're walking their damnedest. They're at New York Fashion Week. This is their career too. They're just strutting their stuff. They got full-on model face going. They all did a great job. But it just looks so... Ugh. Oh, Misha looks nice. I don't know. Not a fan.
Yeah.
All right. So the judging commences, and we have our 4 designers standing up there on their normal, smaller runway. And I guess we'll just get right to it, right?
Yeah.
So they all had to stand next to, like, their 2 models and say, like, this was my idea. And then the judges are like, well, here's our critique. And then they each had to say why they wanted to win again.
Yeah. Which, I don't know what they're supposed to say.
Yeah. Well, this is the 3rd week in a row. Why do you want to win? And it's like, okay, I'll tell you why. It's the same reason when you're, like, doing anything, okay? Mm-hmm. It's like, because I want the end result, right? Like, you're looking for a job. Well, I want to get paid for the services I provide you. That's why, or like, well, I just want whatever it's at the end. I eat dinner to get to dessert. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
So, first up, they say margarita.
That's just like sunk in. That's going into the everyday vocab.
That's true. It's true for me most of the time. Anyway, so first up, they say margarita. I'm sorry you're out. Yeah. She was the first one out. I don't disagree with her not winning, but I do disagree with her order. But she was the first out.
Yeah, I mean, I knew she wouldn't win. But, yeah, I was just like, wow, okay, that's cold.
Yep, so she goes backstage, and her parents are there. And so she's like, I didn't win, but she's like, I don't even care. My parents are here and they are safe. Mm-hmm. And so, her and her immediate family were out of Puerto Rico. So, obviously they had to go back and deal with all the aftermath. But in that moment, it's just like, there are things that are important, but at the end of the day, there are some things that are more important. Mm-hmm. And that's usually, for most of us, family. Yeah. Next up, they say Brandon. And I'm like, whoa, here it comes. Because last week we made our predictions. And we both wanted Kentaro to win, but we were both like, but Brandon will probably win. Or they could be a twist if Ayanna's was better. Kind of like last season. We were like, Aaron will win, but if Laurence's is good, she might be second, but then she wasn't. And we ended up liking Roberry's last year. Mm-hmm. So they say, Brandon, I'm sorry you're out. And his face, I feel bad for Brandon in one sense that he rarely got critiqued this season. I don't think he was ever in the bottom. And if he was, it was probably like, well, Brandon, you're safe.
He was once.
But he didn't really get critiqued.
Yeah.
And then last week, they didn't like the whole look he had on Lyris. And all he did was change the top. But they didn't really give him a lot of critique. So they've already seen what he does. Mm-hmm. And they've already seen it 10 times. They just didn't see it 10 times in a row.
Yeah.
So I feel like if they'd given him better constructive feedback, I know Tim did a little bit, but I feel if the judges had, maybe he would have done something different with his final collection, because he played it really safe in terms of his own silhouette and style, and then picking that one color is because I feel like all the judges say is cohesion, but it's like, no, design, art, flair, wow moments, something new, not question. So, but yeah, Brandon's out. Not even in the top 2.
Yeah.
So, bye-bye, Brandon. He broke down into sobs that for the second time this episode, I was like, you never see people cry like this on TV. So, Ayana, tears rolling off her face. Brandon, like, racking sobs of his body. And your dream was just, you got to show at Fashion Week and everything, but, like, if you really wanted to win, yeah, we're humans. We've all cried. We've all had something that we really wanted and tried so hard for, and then at the last minute, there it goes. So I don't blame him, and I think it's cool that men can cry too, okay? It's 2017. Although it was a little awkward, he goes back, he's like hugging his girlfriend, he's like, I wanted to win so bad, and his parents are there, and his dad was like awkwardly patting him on the back from like 3 feet away, and I was just like, yeah, seems about right, because Brandon's a sensitive guy, he says he's very romantic, and all these things, and his dad's just like from like 3 feet away, like, there, Brando, like, but he had to support his mom, was like, we're so proud of you, you should be proud, like.
Can I say one thing? Remember during Brandon's show, the dad gave the most dad thumbs up?
He did. When Brandon walks by at the end of his show, his dad's like, thumbs up. Classic.
Amazing.
Classic dad move. I like to, just knowing my own dad, he'd totally be the back patter. Maybe not from 3 feet away, but definitely the back patter. I don't think he'd be the thumbs up guy, though. He probably would have gotten up. My dad's the kind who just loves to embarrass his kids, so he would have just gotten up and be like, that's my girl! Or something, I don't even know. So then it's down to Kentaro and Ayana, and they're standing there, and the judge is like, this is really hard. And they're like, Ayana, you did this and this well. Kentaro, you did this and this well. And then it's like that Project Runway music. Who will it be? Ayana. Sorry, you're out. Kentaro, that means you are the winner of Project Runway Season 16! Which, okay, so one, I think we both agree that Kentaro should have won, which never happens on the show. We're always like, this is the winner for sure, and then it's the opposite of what we wanted. So it's nice that we both, neither of us called this in episode 1, neither of us put Kentaro on our first list, but we liked his personality, and his personality and his skills have grown, and he definitely listened to the judges, and he got critiques. He was in the bottom a few times, or struggled a little bit. But do you agree with that order? So technically in order it goes Kentaro, Ayana, Brandon, Margarita.
No. I would have done my personal order. It would have been Brandon, Ayana. Well, shoot. I don't know. It's weird between Margarita and Ayana for me. Because, like, I personally preferred Margarita's collection. But, God, I don't know. I feel like both collections almost had the same kind of problem. Like, I don't know.
Margarita's was too much and Ayana's wasn't enough.
Yeah.
They were like inverse reasons. I think I would have put Kentaro, Margarita, Ayana, Brandon in terms of my order, with Kentaro at the top and Brandon last, just for their collections.
I said mine like backwards, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, so I would have gone Kentaro, Margarita, Ayana, Brandon. But for the entire season, I probably would have gone Kentaro, Ayana, Brandon, Margarita. Because I really didn't like most of the things Margarita made throughout the season. Whereas at least there are a couple things I can think of Brandon, so I was like, I liked that. There's a couple Margarita things too, but not lately.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Kentaro is the winner, which means that he will get a free trip to Japan with a hotel stay. Now, I'm not sure where he's from in Japan, because this is in Tokyo, is where the trip is. He might not be from Tokyo, I don't know. So maybe he'll want to stay by the fashion district. Or maybe he'll be like, you know what, screw your hotel, I'm going to stay with my parents. Or I'm not sure where he's from, but... So Ayana goes back, and we learn she did have a brother. So she mentioned her 11 sisters like 3 times last week. Did not mention Ahmed, her brother. So now, is the brother the youngest? So she's got 12 siblings, and they, or is Ahmed just in the middle and he's just happy to be here? But she had one sister there, one brother, and then her parents. Or at least her mom for sure. Hugging her and everything. But she walked in, she's like, I didn't win.
Yeah.
No suspense with
She
Ayana.
seemed pretty heartbroken.
She did.
Which, how could you not be?
Yeah. But somehow not as heartbroken as Brandon was. I think Brandon was just so shocked because, like... And
he really thought he had it.
yeah, this whole season, the judges have been like, anything he made, they loved. And then the edit we've gotten for sure is that, like, everything he's done is perfect. And then the last few episodes, he's like, yeah, I got this in the bag. Like, he literally took a nap 12 hours before Fashion Week. And then he's like, oh, and I lost. Oh, and I was in 3rd place?
Yep.
And then Kentaro's family comes out. So first Heidi gets up and is like, congratulations. She gets up onto the runway. And they're like, and we have some people who want to come and congratulate you. And out comes Kentaro's little Japanese father. And he is so focused on Kentaro. And he's like clapping and he walks out. And just the way the runway is built, there's a little staircase there. And that's how the models get up and down to like do the critiques, like the close up. And he is not paying attention because I watched it several times to see what it was, because no one's ever done that.
Oh, okay.
And I felt extremely bad that Project Runway included it. And I am personally offended for Kentaro's family. So I will say that, and I hope my tone indicates I don't think it's cool. I don't think that people who are not on the competition, because it's embarrassing. Yeah. And I think it's inappropriate to show. And he's a slightly older man. Like, he could have really hurt himself.
Yeah.
But he's so focused on Kentaro that when he walks out, he just steps off the stairs and he falls like 3 feet.
Yeah. It's a ways. It's several steps.
Yeah, it's a tumble. It's several steps down, and then he pops right back up, and Kentaro's like laughing, of course, because what else are you doing in that moment? And his dad like got up. It's not like he's like, on my leg, but Kentaro, like, instead of taking the stairs, just like pulls his dad up onto the stage, because it's like a 2-foot or like 3 foot, step up. And then out come his like mom, and I'm not sure if they're sisters or aunts or whatever, but there are a couple other people, and his mom's in like this beautiful little kimono, and his dad's like laughing, and like if you know a little Japanese, and I know like 3 words, he says arigato, like thanks to Kentaro, like in his ear, he's like thanks for helping me out. But I think it is so inappropriate for Project Runway to show that. They should have reshot the family coming out.
Yeah.
Because how undignifying. And it's nothing against the dad. How is he supposed to know? And he's just focused on little Kentaro, who's like standing in the middle like, yay, I won Project Runway. And it's just like, I've never seen them show something like that. It's one thing if a model trips and falls, or if a designer does, but to show someone, it's kind of like when they do like the Real Women challenge, and if something embarrassing happens, like, I don't want to keep that person's dignity intact, reshoot it. Mm-hmm. So I really think that was really bad. That's why I rewatched it a couple times this morning to just make sure there wasn't something I was missing. But it was just his eyeline was right there. Yeah. And then of course his like mom is like horrified. None of the judges got up to help this man. Heidi like kind of took like 2 steps towards the edge but did nothing. So then Kentaro like holds him back up. But like
she did ask him like, oh my gosh, are you okay?
Well, yeah, but like no producers came out to help him. Zach and Nina didn't like stand up to do anything. Like I wouldn't expect Jessica Alba. She's pregnant. Yeah. She's not gonna lift somebody. But it's just like no one. I mean, it lasted like 3 seconds, but I was just like, not cool, Project Runway. Yeah. Especially after kind of a weird season with some odd judging and some like weird sponsorships. I'm just like, you can't even be classy in how you treat guests. And he's not American, I don't know. I just really didn't like it.
Yeah.
It really struck me very wrong, and it ruined a little bit of the celebration. So then out come his like mom and the other folks, and his mom hilariously says in Japanese, and they like put like the like subtitles for us in English, like, I thought you said you weren't gonna win. I'm so surprised. Like, she just takes whatever at face value that Kentaro says. Like, when she thought Heidi Klum was Princess Diana. But then he must have been like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna win. Like, probably just in an aside, because he said it all episodes. He's like, I'm not gonna win. Like, I'm at the bottom. I basically already lost. His mom's like, I know, I'm so surprised. It goes to show how much faith Kentaro had in his brother Brandon to win, but it also just let his mom like, ugh. And so so Kentaro is the winner.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll get to my quotes of the week, and then we have a couple things. We'll touch on the reunion. We're not going to do a podcast on it, but I'll get there. And then we'll touch a little bit on All-Stars, because I learned more about what All-Stars will be. So, quotes this week. First up, we have Margarita talking to Tim, defending her quote-unquote resort wear. And she's like, I'm from Puerto Rico. My name's Margarita. Like, she said it in that exact tone, because she's like, she literally was like, well, the judges are like, it's Miami. She's like, I'm Puerto Rican. I'm from Puerto Rico. My name is Margarita. Like, it's just like, stop saying it's resort wear. Stop saying it's Miami just because it's made by a Latina designer. Like, could you not?
Yeah.
And granted, it was bold and wackadoo, but it was inspired by an 80s couch, not a flamenco dancer. Like, please.
Yeah.
Then Margarita's mom on the phone, when they were talking about how they might not get a flight, she was like, we're going to swim to New York. And she said it as a joke, but like, oh, my little heart, I was already feeling so bad for Margarita. And the whole hurricane thing, because that's outside your control. There's been moments I did not like Margarita's personality. There's been times I felt she was a little two-faced. But like, no one should have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Or especially deal with that, and you can't even be there. You have no idea what's going on. And because of the way of Project Runway, you only get to have a call in front of the cameras in the special room. You don't get to do that in the privacy of your own home to be like, are you okay? Like, you don't get to help. You're just there like, I guess I'm making pretty outfits while my parents die in a fight. Like, Jesus. So, but I like that mom line, and that's something my mom would say, I think, or a lot of moms out there. But we're going to swim to New York. We'll be there at your fashion show. Like, then Brandon talking about this season, and this was like early on in the episode, he's like, I know my aesthetic and I stayed true to it. And that's true. He knows his aesthetic. He's got one look and he did it 10 times in his collection, and 13 times this episode or season? There's all I have to say about that. Next up, Heidi speaking to Ayana after the fashion week and everything. She's like, don't judge me, but I like to show a little skin, because Heidi's outfit was like this like purple, like Prince purple, deep V cut little top, like deep V, showing a lot of side boob, and then these really tiny short little skirt. And Heidi can pull it off. Heidi still has a supermodel body. She's like, in her 40s? She's got like 3 or 4 kids?
Yeah.
At least
3, I think.
Yeah, at least 3, maybe 4. It's still got good, wear it if you want to, but it's just like, it didn't seem very high fashion to me.
No, and plus it was like glittery metallic, like it was more than just purple.
Yeah, it would almost look like alligator print or something. Like, this is not the first time Heidi's worn some weird things, and Alyssa Milano on All Stars has worn some weird things, but occasionally Heidi, like, I think last season or the season before, Heidi wore that green thing.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
This at least wasn't that.
Yeah, but it's just like, oh, it's fashion week, just wear something.
Imagine if she'd paired this with purple boots. Then it would have been the same.
Yeah. I just wish for like fashion weeks they treated it more like a red carpet and just wore something a little more elegant. You can still show tons of skin, I don't care. But it seemed like a weird like club dress for a 40-year-old mom, which you can wear whatever you want. If you want to wear like Daisy Dukes but it's just like, fashion week, we're gonna be on national television, I don't know. And I know she doesn't always pick her clothes. I know in the early season, she had to, like, bring her own clothes, and occasionally she was in, like, jeans and a t-shirt, and she's like, hey, what's up? It's Project Runway. But now I'm pretty sure, like, people send her clothes and pay her to wear them on the show. So, then we had Jessica Alba talking to Kentaro about his collection, and she said it was so poetic. And it was. What he made, I would say, when I was viewing it, it felt like a song. And what's a poem except for a song without music? So I liked Jessica Alba. I think that's the only quote I have from her. But she had more insightful things to say than a lot of the actresses this episode or this season. I still hope next season, or at least in All Stars, let's have some guest judges who aren't young actresses. Let's just try it. I don't know. Oh, crazy. Let's just try it. Also, before I forget, I do want to say, this is not a quote, but I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get a, like, thanks, bye, mood moment a couple episodes ago. I mentioned it, but they didn't even say bye to Swatch or anything, and it just made me think of, like, has Mood ever done a challenge where it's, like, fabric-related, or they bring someone in? Because they have challenges on Twitter and stuff all the time of, like, hey, we got this new fabric in, make something with it, and we'll give you, like, 10 yards for free or something. I'm like, that is fashion-related. I'd rather have a Mood person. I'd rather have the cashier girl, because I bet she's more interested in fashion than some of these random actresses. All right, next up we had Lyris, who she was Brandon's quote-unquote signature model, although I think he dressed her the worst. Yeah. I think Michael and Kenya dressed her the best, but Brandon definitely worse, but somehow she ended up with him. And they asked Jasmine how she felt about the wow moment in Margarita's thing, and she was like, it's so important for plus-size girls to be in a swimsuit in New York Fashion Week. I agree. And then for Brandon, they asked Lyris how she felt because obviously they had a wide range of models for the first time, which was nice. Everybody had more traditional models, everybody had plus size models, but I think Lyris and Jasmine and also Monique have been like the core plus size girls this season. And she said, this model diversity moment is so important, and I thank you for being this catalyst for change, which is a very nice way of putting it. She was crying a bit because it is important and it is her life. And I know some people, especially out there on social media, some people love Lyris. We personally love Lyris. Some people don't. And they're like, you're not the Naomi of plus, like, blah, 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 drama queen, blah, blah, blah. No, she is doing something that most people would not do. Would not be brave enough to do. And she's been doing it for years. This is not her first rodeo. This isn't even her first Project Runway New York Fashion Week. She walked in Ashley's several seasons ago before they ever thought about doing plus size women. So, Lyris, props to you. Claps.
Yep.
Snaps. Love it. All right. Next up, Brandon, when he lost, said, it hurts. I thought I had it. And to be honest, Brandon, so did all of the viewers. And I'm sure there's some people who loved Brandon's stuff and are super disappointed or like, what? This came out of nowhere. He was a shoo-in. But like last season, he really got the edit that Aaron did where it's just like, he's so great. He's so great. He's so great. Oh, now he's getting confident. Now he's confident and great. Only she won with that edit and he did not.
Yeah.
So,
switcheroo.
Fake out. Then Kentaro said after his win, at the end, I decided to take a risk and I can't believe it. I won. And it's true because this episode, he was like, I basically already lost, so I'm just going to make the collection I want to make. And obviously all his pieces are done already, but Margarita had a very similar mindset where like Ayana and Brandon were both still like, I'm in this, like I'm a shoe. And like Ayana was like, yeah, I think I've got this. And Brandon was like, yeah, I've got it. No issue. And then Kentaro and Margarita were like, screw it, we're going to make what we want. And they had the most successful collections. So it's cool. And then my final quote of the season is Heidi saying to Kentaro, you've been great all season, but today you showed what an artist you truly are. And I know we've been talking a lot. We beat that over the head already, that his looks and his collection were art. More elevated design, high fashion, most of them definitely. And it's nice that even Heidi can see that and to call it out.
Yeah.
So, season 16 reunion show is going to be airing the Thursday after Thanksgiving, so I think it's the 30th of November. There's going to be a lot of drama, obviously, involving the twins.
Yeah.
Based off the preview, I can see Amy and Kenya going for blood, and the twins both being like, it's not a big deal. And then, obviously, we're probably going to have a little drama with Michael involved as well. We're not here for the drama. We've said that multiple times. I know we still talk about it on the show. We did not review the reunion episode last season. Not to say whether we watched it or not, but we did not review it. We'll not review it this time either. There's no fashion there. There's nothing to learn there. There's just, a couple smiles and a lot of dramatic tears to get out of that. So you watch it if you want. I'm sure there's plenty of other podcasts who will give you a drama beat by beat of that, but it won't be us.
Nope.
Hashtag not here for it. But I did just want to mention that we will most likely be back for All Stars. I can't promise 100% because it's months away and you never know. But All Stars this year, I mentioned in our last episode some of the folks coming back, like Merlene, Ken, Candace, Kelly from the Deli, Fabio, a few others, and it's apparently rookies who've never been on All Stars before but have been on Project Runway versus veterans, so people who've already been on All Stars. So that's what it is. It's teams. So one team of like veterans who've already been so this means this could be their third, potentially more time. So I'm just like, is Daniel coming back? That one guy who like always goes out on episode 1. I think his name's Daniel. Or you're a rookie and you've never been on All Stars before, but you've been on Project Runway.
Oh, okay.
So that's why we're gonna see Rage Ken again, which I shouldn't call him that, but he even got a little ragey when he came back for All Stars last time. He had a walkout and was gone all night, but didn't get kicked out. But not as bad as his first season. But like, I don't think Merlene has been on All Stars yet, so she'll be a rookie, and then Ken will be, and then Candace. I don't know if she's been on All Stars, but I looked her up. She's still making dark witchy stuff, so I'm here for it.
Yeah, that's your vibe.
That's my vibe. That's why I like Kentaro's, because I'm like, only one of these is like my vibe. Margarita's like my aspirational. I wish I could wear color and bell bottoms like that. Okay, maybe not the bell bottoms, but the color. But like Kentaro's is like, that's my color palette. Black, white with a pop of color, and red. Yeah. Why not? But otherwise, do you have anything else to say about this season or these looks, this runway?
No, I I guess, like, I'll just say I'm pleasantly surprised. I thought, no way would it, like, end this way. I'm pleased. I was just, like, and when it was down between the two of them, Ayanna and Kentaro, I was like, well, for sure, Ayanna's got it.
Which would have also been nice.
Yeah.
I was actually fine with, obviously I wanted Kentaro to win, but if Ayanna had won over Brandon, I would have still been happy.
Yeah.
Because I could not come back after a season last season where it was just like, Erin can do no wrong for 14 episodes and she won. And then another season of Brandon can do no wrong. And so it was nice to see someone else win who didn't get to edit the whole time, because Kentaro's been up and down. And it's nice to see someone else win. So,
Right.
yeah.
It was good. So season, good ending.
Yeah. This was a really strong collection from everyone in terms of it was their aesthetic. Like, I didn't like Brandon's, but it was his aesthetic. I cannot deny.
Yeah, it was a good finale.
Yeah. Sometimes we've had folks where it's just like,
collections.
no one like surprised. Ayanna disappointed me slightly, but no one like disappointed me. Whereas last season, Rick and Laurence personally attacked me by letting me down with their final looks. But yeah, otherwise I think that's it for us.
Yep.
So that's season 16 in the bag. Thanks for joining us. As our last shout out, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at RavRunway. Obviously, off season, we're not going to be quite as active as normal, and you can find our podcasts in case you missed one or you just want to relive the magic. We're on YouTube, we're on Podiant, we're on WordPress, and we're also on Apple iTunes and podcasts. So you can go out there, subscribe to us so that when we do come back, you don't have to go searching for it. We'll be right there. You download us and take us on the go. Subscribe, rate, review, like, message, comment, just hit us all up, and we will, see you guys next time.